Hi friends, it's Laura, and today we are finally starting seeds. I'm so excited. We're going to start pansy seeds and viola seeds. But the first thing I wanted to do was just to show you all my setup that I have here in my bay window. Right around this time every year, I get it set up for seed starting. This area is about 4 feet wide by 18 inches deep, and it just happens to fit one of these wire racks perfectly. So usually I start my seeds out here without any lights, but this year will be my first time trying with grow lights. So I'll just be using them more for like the germination stage and the very beginning of the seedling growth. When they're really small, they like to be very close to their lights so that they're not getting too leggy. That has been a problem for me a little bit in the past. I try to avoid it by turning them. This is a south-facing window, so I turn my seedlings a lot so they're not reaching for the sun too much. But hopefully these grow lights will help with that. And I just picked these up from Lowe's. They were $20 each. I'll put a link in the description. And they are able to connect together. So you can see I've kind of zip tied them to the rack so that they're taking up as little room as possible. But they're called like daisy chaining together. So when I flip the switch for one of them, they'll both come on. And you can adjust that as necessary. So if you just want one on, then that's no problem either. And another reason I wanted to get grow lights this year is because this window is just about needing to be replaced. It's like a double pane, and the in between of the window is just, you can see it's all streaky, and I have tried to clean this thing from the outside, from the inside, every which way. And it's in between the panes, so it's like impossible, but it does cause a lot of light filtering. So I'm hoping the grow lights will help with that as well. And then the last thing that I did to this area was I put some curtains like up against the glass, all the way up against the glass, that I can roll up and down kind of like a shade. I did this for two reasons. The first is because this window is not that well insulated, and if I pull the curtains closed at night, it might get too cold in there. So I would like to leave the curtains open at night so that it's nice and warm, the air is circulating, and in order to block just obviously like the lights from the neighbors and everything, because we sleep in this room, I need to have something to block the light. So I've put some curtains back there that'll go right up against the window so I can block the light at night, and I can leave these open. So that's the setup that we're working with for now. But actually, I'm not going to need to use this probably for another week or so, because pansies and violas prefer to be germinated in the dark. So let's go in the greenhouse and get some seeds started. And this is my fun little box that I got from the swap shed last year. It's just like a old wooden box. I put all my seed starting mix in there. And then I'm reusing trays from last year. I usually use the black plastic trays from Walmart, the ones that are Jiffy, I think. They're 72 cells, and I think they cost like $5. And then I usually use their seed starting mix as well. The Jiffy bags, I think, again, are $5. And one bag usually gets me about 2 full trays, so about 144 cells, which I think is pretty good. I did start with dry soil this time. I was kind of experimenting with something, but it really didn't work out that well. So I would start with damp soil if you can. And to do that, I usually just rip open the bag of the seed starting mix and add water to it, and then just mix it up with my hand until it's got a nice consistency. And these are the seeds that I'm going to be starting today. I have 2 packages of the antique Layetta viola. I have another package of the Bowls Black, which I grew last year and I loved. And then I have the Black Devil Pansy. I have 2 of those as well. And all of these seeds are surface sow, which basically just means they're sprinkled on the top of the soil. But they do like darkness to germinate. So sometimes people, instead of just putting like something over the container, they'll just put a little bit of soil on top of the seed. And usually that works as well. So let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make markers for the seeds so I know what is what when they're in the trays. I use these tongue depressors or giant popsicle sticks, whatever you want to call them. They are a little bit too tall though, because once you put the humidity dome on the tray, they are too high. It won't stay on. So I have to break these a little bit. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to label them just shorthand because sometimes the Sharpie will bleed a bit, and it just makes it easier to read if there's fewer words. So I've already seeded the first half of the seed tray, but let's do the second half. I was going to go right into the Black Devil Pansy, but there are different counts of seeds in each package, and I noticed that the Black Devils had a minimum of like 100 seeds in them, whereas these Bull's Black Viola only have a minimum of 30, so they're not going to take up as much room in my trays. So I'm going to seed those here, and then I do have some seeds left from the Blue Perfection pansy that I grew last year, so I'm going to put those in here as well. And then I'll just start a separate tray for the Black Devil pansies. And they are very small seeds, but they're not too small to see. So what I usually do is I just take a little pinch and I put usually 2 to 3 seeds per cell. You can't guarantee that all your seeds are going to germinate, so I like to overseed a little bit. And also I eventually will probably split them. If they do all germinate, I'll just split them up. And here's a little bit closer up look, so hopefully you can see. All right, so it's all seeded, and I do have my labels in there. So basically, I'll just put my label wherever I start a new row. That's where I'll stick my label in. And before I put the humidity dome on, I do want to just give it one more last go over with some water. So I'm going to use a spray bottle on mist, and I'm just going to mist over everything. And then I'm just going to put my humidity dome on here. And then in order to make sure it's dark enough, I'm just going to throw a towel over top, and I'm going to stick these on top of my refrigerator to germinate. I'll just check on them probably in a day and a half to 2 days. They'll probably take about 3 to 5 days to germinate, maybe a little bit longer. I just like to check in on them regularly to make sure that they are staying damp enough. And then once they are germinated, it will be time to move them out to the window. So I will keep you guys updated on that. Before you know it, this area is going to just be absolutely taken over by seedlings. Here's a couple clips from last year at how this area kind of progresses. And then, very exciting, this year we have the greenhouse, so we can move them out to there when they're big enough and when the greenhouse is warm enough. So that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to follow along here with our next gardening season. And I thank you all for joining me on this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!